And welcome to another edition of Movie Reviews Nobody Asked For, a Brash Plus exclusive. We are joined here today by, of course, Josh and our movie aficionado, Daniel. Daniel, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody what movie we're going to be talking about today?
Oh, we're in for a treat today, Brandon. We are in for a very sweet treat. The movie we are reviewing today is called The Beekeeper, and that is starring Jason Statham, Emmy Raver Lampman. I've never heard of her.
Nobody has.
Bobby Naderi, and then Josh Hutcherson, who seems to be in everything right now.
I just know him from PETA, or as PETA. That's all I know him as.
Yeah.
I was thinking that when we were watching it.
That or Five Nights at Freddy's has been his latest hit.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah. And it's written by Kurt Wimmer. People know him from Law Abiding Citizen. Directed by David Ayer, best known for Suicide Squad, the good one. And this movie has been nominated for 0 Oscars and 0 BAFTAs, but it is early in the game. We might see it nominated next year. You never know. But no. Currently 6.4 out of 10 on IMDb, 4.3 out of 5 on Google, and it's currently fresh at a 70% on Rotten Tomatoes with a 92% audience rating.
It's understandable.
Yeah, I mean, it's the synopsis is one man's brutal campaign for vengeance takes on national stakes after he is revealed to be a former operative of a powerful and clandestine organization known as the Beekeepers.
Mm-hmm.
And some interesting facts I wanted to share before we get into the nitty-gritty on the reviews.
Okay.
Some of this stuff is just hilarious to me. Excuse me. The outfit that Clay wears at the beginning of the movie when he's tending to the honeybees is actually a fencing suit.
Well, I knew it wasn't a beekeeper suit. I'm happy you brought that up. I was going to bring up his badass beekeeper suit.
Budgets must be pretty tight right now in Hollywood where they can't get an accurate beekeeper suit.
You can't look tough wearing a beekeeper outfit.
I was wondering that as well. I was like, what? It didn't look official. It wasn't big enough. It wasn't baggy enough.
No, and it didn't have really a net or anything. I mean, it was kind of weird. But anyway. One of the cool facts is, Jason Statham's character's name is Adam Clay in the movie. And his birth date on the FBI file is Jason Statham's actual birth date, which is July 26, 1966.
Oh,
I thought that was kind of cool. Yeah. This one made me laugh a little bit. Later in the movie, in the middle part of the movie, when he gains access into the beekeeper hive, there's no explanation for why there's old technology.
That's what they had. That's the set they had to work with.
So there is an explanation for that. The director says this is because the story originally was set in 2003. Before the idea was abandoned for decades. However, the art department had already started sourcing some of the hardware. For budgetary reasons, it was decided just keep what they had, So, and because the film was on a tight budget, $34 million. It's such a tight budget. The majority of the film was filmed in the UK for tax purposes. So, there's
interesting. Yeah, and surprisingly, with a $40 million budget, Daniel, it brought in a whopping $152.7 million in the box office, which is stunning.
Well, it was originally planned to be streamed exclusively, but because they were on the calendar, there were no big action movies or any big budget movies. They decided to take a chance, and boy, did it pay off because everybody went to see it. I remember, it was. I was like, why is everybody seeing this movie? And
I hadn't
you
heard of it
know,
up until just a couple of weeks ago, and
no.
I sent the trailer to Josh because little unknown fact here. Josh and I have an inside joke regarding Jason Statham and these type of movies, and it was really spun off of Mary Poppins. Out of all things, we had a joke that they did a spinoff called The Chimney Sweep, starring Jason Statham. Same type of deal, you know. He's just a simple chimney sweep, but of course, deep down, he's a badass motherfucker who, you know, goes on this revenge, you know, tour, so to speak, and it's just whooping ass and taking names. And we had a lot of good quotes and stuff that we threw, and we actually came up with that prior to one of our Brash Sports recordings. Unfortunately, I think that footage has been lost to time, but
Such a shame because it
it
was
is.
so fucking funny.
But then, you know, I just happened to be looking through. I believe it was being advertised on Amazon Prime, and it just the movie poster popped up. That's all I saw, and you know what you see behind me right now, and I was like, Is that Jason Statham? Does it say The Beekeeper? Like, I started laughing so hard because I'm like, oh god, that is the joke, you know, just taking this simple occupation that nobody thinks about. Nobody gives the
Right.
beekeepers the credit they deserve. And of course, all you have to see is Jason Statham, and you know, okay, you know, he's a badass beekeeper. And you know, some people are about to get brutally murdered at the hands of Jason Statham. But going to some Rotten Tomato reviews here. Josh, did you have something you want to throw in?
No, I was just gonna say, like, with Jason Statham, it could be the cashier or whatever. Like, it could be any occupation.
Anything.
And
The
if you just
janitor.
throw,
Yeah.
the janitor,
I know.
starring
I mean,
Jason Statham.
we might see a lot more because, again, you bring in $152.7 million in the box office. I mean, what's to stop you? Why not be the janitor?
Right.
I'd see it at this point. But Gaber G.
For sure.
Gabor. I say Gaber. Gabor G on Rotten Tomatoes. He calls it a poor man's John Wick, 2 out of 5 stars. Daniel P, on the other hand, he says, muy buena gusto al estilo de Jason. Entretenida y llena de acción. 4 out of 5 stars. And I couldn't agree with Daniel P more.
Yeah, I agree. He said it perfectly. We could probably just end the show now that we said that.
That's it. Daniel P pretty much sealed it up. Daniel, I don't know if you're not Daniel P, I hope. I mean, I know you as Daniel J, so
no.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, anybody have anything they want to throw in before we go ahead and get to the trailer? We're going to show the trailer of The Beekeeper, just to get anybody who's not familiar a little bit more familiar with the situation and what it is we're about to be reviewing here. So, you guys ready?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, let's get right to it. Here is the official trailer of 2024's The Beekeeper.
You're a blessing, Mr. Clay. This place was crabgrass and weeds, and you brought it back to life.
Mrs. Parker and I were friends. She was the only person who ever took care of me.
I just got a message saying that there's a problem with my computer.
Yes, ma'am, we got this.
Yesterday, she shot herself.
This is private property.
Do you know what they do here? Scamming the weakest in our society.
Buddy, I'm counting to 3.
1, 2, 3. There, I did it for you. I'm gonna burn this place to the ground.
Will you stomp his ass out?
You're telling me one man did this. The only thing you know is he's a beekeeper.
A beekeeper?
Well, that's not good.
Beekeepers is a special program outside the chain of command.
I protect the hive. When the system is out of balance, I correct it.
We have laws for these things.
Until they fail, then you have me.
My fingers, he cut him off. Oh, come on, bro.
Don't move. This is much bigger than a little fishing scam.
The money's going all over the world. To people in finance, even government.
You are a problem. Goddamn right, I'm a problem. I figured I'd give the firefighters a break.
Somebody detain this guy.
We have to kill him before he kills his way to the top.
Honey?
It's flammable as fuck. Who knew?
And there you have it. That was the trailer, and what a trailer it was. I mean, that's one of the best movie trailers I've seen in quite a long time, and that's the reason we're sitting here today reviewing this movie, because it got me so fired up and excited for this one. And it's just it's nice to have a fun movie review that you don't have to take too seriously. You know, I feel like this won't be the last Jason Statham movie we talk about.
I hope not. I hope not. I was pleasantly surprised with how this turned out, because I had very high expectations for a comedy aspect to this, and it delivered on every front. But sorry for cutting you off, Daniel. What'd you have to say?
Oh, no, that's it. I was going to say, Statham has a formula, and this goes right with that. But I think it was much more comical than I was expecting it to be. But that, I think, just made it even better, and hopefully, Jason Statham takes a page out of this and starts applying it to his other movies, because I think this is a good formula. It works well.
The Janitor 2025.
The Janitor, the Chimney Sweep, the possibilities are endless. I personally thought this was just like any other Jason Statham movie I've seen. I mean, I saw this formula in The Wrath of Man, and I guess hundreds of others. But yeah, I'll get to my Jason Statham movie checklist a little later on. But first, I just wanted to share a little tiny cliff note from Matt Zoller Seats. I'm sure Daniel's familiar, seeing as how you're a big movie review guy. No, not at all. RobertEbert.com. Didn't even know that was a website, but he is a movie critic for them. And hopefully this isn't too long, you guys, but I just felt it was worth noting, another person's perspective. But I thought it was just well put together. I had to cut out a lot because, as Josh reminded me, I did have a little bit more in there, and it just was going to drag on a little too long. But the movie Beekeeper follows protagonist Adam Clay, who we know absolutely nothing about except that he lives out in the country raising bees and selling their honey. And he's played by Jason Statham, which means he's no ordinary beekeeper. His best friend is an older woman named Eloise Parker, who lives in the farmhouse near his and rents him a space in her barn. According to Adam, Eloise is the only person who ever took care of me.
She was the only person who ever took care of me.
Eloise makes the terrible mistake of responding to a phishing scam from a data mining company that empties her bank account, as well as the account of a nonprofit she helped founded and was taken care of. This, of course, led to tragedy, and Adam trades his beekeeper uniform for a commando gear and disguises and works his way up the criminal food chain, doing what the law will not. At best, the beekeeper is a fantasy about how satisfying it would be to brutalize and kill the sorts of white-collar crooks who prey on innocent people without fear of punishment. Watching it made me think about the elderly people in my life who have been or could be victimized by scam artists, estate predators, and other swindlers, and the police and court officers who refuse to lift even a pinky to help get justice for them, and how satisfying it would be for all of them to get into their cars, glance in their rearview mirrors, and see Jason Statham in the back seat. So I thought it was very well put, because who doesn't like to see, wish to see these type of people get what's coming to them, and who better than Jason Statham to seek that revenge.
So I have a question. With these guys that are doing the scams, do all their offices look like from Wolf of Wall Street? I mean, the neon lights, the high tech, and him with a microphone walking down the middle of the aisle.
There were some actually. I cut it out, but there were some comparisons that this Matt Zoller seats made to Wolf of Wall Street.
100%.
I remember Wolf of Wall Street being kind of like a boiler room type deal, though. Little plane.
That as he started, yes, but later in the movie, we get bigger and bigger offices. He starts to do that. He has the microphone in front of the big crowd, and they're taking advantage of all these older people with penny stocks and making money off it. It's very similar to me, but I mean, a lot of these scams that go on are based out of India and Pakistan. So
this is true.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting. They kept it in the States. So,
Well, they had to. He had to easily get there. Otherwise, the whole movie, he just would have been flying to India.
Yeah, he can't, hop
Another
on the
bag of peanuts, please.
He can't hop on the Marrakesh Express and just go to India. I mean,
yeah, I thought the visual effects were stunningly great. I mean,
surprisingly,
yes. They did.
Can we talk about that opening sequence? Dude, if they had a $40 million budget, they spent $20 million just on the opening credits, dude.
Opening credits.
I was like, oh my God, they were so in depth and visually just crazy all over the place.
Makes a lot more sense now that Daniel told us that they pretty much had this on the back burner for decades, So by the time they were actually able to make the movie, I'm sure they were just overwhelmed with excitement. So they had to go all out in those opening credits. It did seem like a movie that, people had been anticipating for years, finally the Beekeeper. But all right. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess we can go ahead and get right to it, guys. I know you have some quotes that you wrote down that you liked. And then we can just go over our overall individual reviews and our scores. Who wants to start? Daniel, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'm pulling up my notes here. So,
unacceptable.
Unacceptable. How dare you?
This is a Brash Plus exclusive. People pay a pretty penny for this.
Yeah. Also, there's no notes. We don't take notes here.
I cheated. I took a little note, but I wrote mine. I wrote mine pen to paper. Okay, very little, but
yeah, I had I mean, it's kind of interesting that the one scene. I'll start with the one scene in the movie where he's at the gas station and that woman assassin comes after him, and it's like
it's in the trailer.
Yeah, she may be a formidable foe for him, and then the ending of that was just so disappointing to me, But the other part was when they're in, I believe when he gets to the second office, the higher office for this scam that's going on, the guy that's almost like a New York type guy, almost like a mob boss type guy, most of his quotes were from Beverly Hills Cop, believe it or not.
What?
When he says, "I went through a plate glass window," that is Axel Foley. That's a quote from Axel Foley. So
nice catch.
Look it up. It's just.
Oh, I will.
I mean, I couldn't believe they were actually quoting Beverly Hills Cop. At least it wasn't Beverly Hills Cop 3.
Nothing's off limits. No. Nothing's off limits.
Hey,
real quick for that chick at the gas station. Just a thought, before I forget. First of all, she reminded me of 8 from Stranger Things. But was she also a beekeeper? Was that the story there? Is that why she was so okay?
Yeah.
All right.
She was his replacement.
Got it. Okay. All right. Keep going, Daniel. Sorry to cut you off. I needed to get
that. No, that's okay. I mean, I will say that the whole premise of the movie, with it being an old person falls victim to a scam, I mean that's the hook to kind of get you in, because it is something that happens all the time and every day. Now,
right now as we speak.
does it happen to Felicia Rashad? I don't think so. But anyway.
Next one, he's going to be going after a Nigerian prince.
Yeah,
I'm here to see the prince.
That would be great if he did that. That you might actually make a sequel to this movie. Which that was my next question: is there enough material out there to make a sequel to this movie? Because there seems to be a very final.
I have a strong opinion on that one. Yes,
it just seems like the ending is very final to me. But that's just that. But anyway, the movie itself, like you said, it's a typical Jason Statham formula. I'm sorry, but Jason Statham's a great action star. Horrible actor. He is.
I'm not arguing. I'm not arguing with that at all.
No.
He's up there with Arnold Schwarzenegger, I mean, the action stars that can do the action, but really not deliver the lines. I mean, that ad that's going on right now with Arnold Schwarzenegger with State Farm. That is a perfect depiction of the line delivery that he can't do. And
poor Arnold.
But I got a couple of quotes I'm going to read off here.
Okay.
One is just kind of it's kind of stupid and simple, but I just thought it was hilarious when he goes, "Buddy, I'm counting to 3. 1, 2, 3. There, I did it for you."
Yeah.
I had that one written down.
Also in the trailer, they had to throw that in the trailer. It was too good. Pass up.
Buddy, I'm counting to 3.
1, 2, 3. There, I did it for you.
Or when which Minnie Driver. How the mighty have fallen in Hollywood, but she was in the movie for 2 minutes, but the line that she had is, "Why are you calling me on the never call me on this line phone?"
Why does it even exist at that point? That's great.
But yeah, the biggest one, of course, is "I'm the beekeeper. I protect the hive. Sometimes I use fire to smoke out hornets." Okay.
He was not shy of using fire.
I do have another question about it. In the beginning of the movie, he loves to show that he uses a knife in combat, right?
Mm-hmm.
First half of the movie, that's his objective. That's almost like the beekeeper code. They use the knife to cut the bad part of the hive out, and they throw it out basically, and that's kind of what the symbolism is there. Well, the second half of the movie, he's shooting the place up.
But I think he always opts to not use the gun first. He only, from what I could tell, he would only use a gun if it was absolutely necessary.
That's he did a lot in the second half of the movie.
But there were 1,000 guys with guns around him.
Well, yeah, you got to fight fire with fire, but
right. But that's why he's constantly just taking apart the guns when he comes across them and all that. But yeah, he definitely was trying to be a not shoot first guy. But it was one of those where, there's a lot of movies like this where there's 1,000 guys with guns and somehow he gets out without getting shot. There's this one scene toward the beginning where just spraying bullets across this entire row of computers, and he's just running one step ahead of the bullets. And they're supposed to be the most highly skilled, highly trained, SEAL guys, Delta Force guys. And they can't hit this guy.
It reminded me of the one with Jet Li. Do you remember that movie?
Yes.
Where he's bouncing from universe to universe. I guess you hated that one, Josh, but
I didn't hate it.
I actually loved it.
I didn't hate it, but it's very similar to that, where it's how is he not dead?
Everyone's got guns, and there's 20 people around him. They're all shooting, and they're terrible shots,
Right, and they're supposed to be the best in the world.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know. It's a shame.
Yeah.
So, Dan, did you have anything else you want to touch on before we pass along to Josh?
No, I mean, like I said, the story is typical Jason Statham. I thought the first half of the movie was pretty strong and kind of kept your interest, and then it's kind of like a lot of his movies. In the second half, it just gets too long, and you're kind of looking at your watch, going, "Man, when is this going to end?" And
which is weird because the runtime is only an hour 45.
Oh, I know. Well, But I mean, there are a couple slow parts toward the end. I think, of course, the main focus of the story is throughout, but there's some slow parts in there. There's some actors you haven't seen in years in this movie, like Minnie Driver. I mean, her to be in a movie like this for 2 minutes is just crazy to me. But with how big of an actress she was back.
So wait, is her name Minnie Driver?
Yeah.
Okay. When you first said that, I thought like that was a movie she was in, and she
played
the Minnie Driver.
Oh,
I didn't know that was her real name.
Oh, that is her real name. Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, it's mindless entertainment. It's fun.
Yeah, it is fun.
I do think they underutilized Jeremy Irons, a legendary actor, who played one of the greatest villains of all time in Die Hard with a Vengeance. I thought they could have used that type of villain in this movie because let's just face it, Josh Hutcherson is not he's not scary. You know what I mean?
I suppose what made him scary is that, yes, physically he's not an intimidating human being, but it was the idea of the power being the son of the president of the United States, right?
Yeah.
So, even though that didn't help him too much.
And he hired scary people to defend him.
Yes. Yeah.
That giant
he played a little pussy.
Yeah.
I mean,
he hid behind the wall. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. A
lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun too. Like I said, my expectations were pretty low coming in. And yeah, I didn't think it would be anything more than a badass beekeeper who's literally keeping bees and that's all he does, like going on some crazy killing spree. The fact that they opened it up to be this like secret organization that he used to work for, and that's why he has all these skills. I thought that was cool. Kind of got me roped in a little bit. Because if it was just a beekeeper that went on a killing spree, I would have lost interest much faster. But yeah, some of my favorite quotes, because before it was revealed that the beekeepers were this secret agency that like trained killers. If a beekeeper says you're gonna die, you're gonna die. I just thought
that was a good one.
So funny, dude. I was dying. And then, of course, the classic is a beekeeper. That's not good. Like no one has ever said that.
That's probably my favorite.
A beekeeper. That's not good.
That's not good. Like they already know about the beekeepers.
Yeah.
Hadn't even explained it yet.
Beekeeper? Well, that's not good.
Also, toward the beginning, I was bringing her a jar of honey. And then the black chick, the daughter says, "Who are you, Winnie the Pooh?" That was great.
I forgot about that one. That's great.
That one had me cracking up. And then, of course, toward the very end, to be or not to be, isn't that the bloody question? And then the beekeeper says, "I think I'll take to be," and then he kills him. That was great. It's just so cheesy, dude.
Oh, it's great. So
the cheese factor. But yeah, I mean, coming into it with those very low expectations and thinking it was truly just going to be a beekeeper, having a legitimate bad guy, because to me, like the scammers are such a fucking stain on society. I really do hate them. I've watched YouTube videos at length of people that will disguise themselves as like victims and then end up pranking or really fucking over scamming agencies. And yeah, they're usually in India, but they'll like find the address of the place that's doing these scams and send like boxes of roaches and rats and shit into them, so they have to get shut down, like real life beekeeper shit. And I love it. So I've never seen a movie where that's the bad guy, right? The white collar criminal has been done, but not this specific, where it's truly just like scam artists. So that was pretty cool. And then to tie it all the way up to like the president's son was pretty like I didn't see that coming. And again, it just kind of kept me going through it, because to your point, Daniel, it did seem like it was dragging on a bit longer, but they did a good job, in my opinion, of adding layers so that the story kept evolving, and you could go, oh, okay, so they killed this one call center, and you thought like, all right, he did it. The movie's 20 minutes long.
Roll credits,
yeah, roll credits. And then, as it built and evolved, it kept me engaged, which normally movies like this do not keep me engaged. I do like action movies, but the one guy versus a million guy thing usually doesn't get me going, because it's like, okay, really? He's surrounded by trained SWAT professionals who are all, designed to fucking take people down like this, and he makes it out. Okay. Like, you can only do that so much without me rolling my eyes and moving on, right? But this one kept me in it, man. And again, I was really watching from a comedic standpoint.
You have to.
You have to.
Oh, yeah.
And before you realize that there's more to the story than him just being a beekeeper, man, those first 10 minutes are fucking comedy gold. But yeah, we need to talk about like, what is his relationship with this older black woman that made him fucking torch the earth for her? Because it seemed like she just invited him over for dinner once.
That's all my
let him live in her barn.
Yep.
Like, what? I was so confused by that. Like, she was the only person who took care of me, I think is what he said.
She was the only person who ever took care of me.
But like, dude, she let you live in a barn and invited you to dinner once. Is that really, dude, how shitty was your life?
He didn't have a bed in that barn either. He was sleeping in the straw.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, like, really?
That's what he wanted. He's a tough son of a bitch,
Another thing that I realized in the trailer, I don't know, I'm going to look really stupid now, especially if we cut the trailer into this thing and I'm talking about it now, but I thought there was a scene where he says like, honey is flammable. And then I don't remember seeing that in the movie.
Yeah.
Did I just miss it, or
he doesn't say it?
Someone else does?
One of the FBI agents says it.
Oh, okay. See, I just missed it, because I thought that was going to be a whole thing with the beekeeper, because you see all these big flames and explosions, and then in the trailer someone says like, well, honey is flammable, and I was like, oh shit, he just uses honey to burn shit down.
It's flammable as fuck. Who knew?
Well, when he sets Mini Driver on fire, he is throwing jars at her, but I have to assume they're jars full of gasoline. I mean,
no, that was honey.
Flammable honey.
That was honey, but I never got the line. I never got the line there. And I feel like they could have done more with that, because he does just end up using gasoline all the time. And if honey is flammable, like, why isn't he's a beekeeper? He should just be using that. He has tons of it at his disposal. Oh, also the scene where they shoot up the beehives cracked me up. I don't know.
Oh my god! You know what? That kind of ticked me off, man.
Yeah, of course. I was pissed off because we need bees, right?
Yeah,
and I'm
it's a little too real.
But yeah, they're like, they shoot it so many.
Yeah. The biggest assault weapons they have.
Just mowing through those hives. But anyway, yeah, dude, I actually was pleasantly surprised with this movie. If you had told me it turned into a real story about like a secret agency that goes up to the president's son and all this shit, with my expectations on the front end, I would have said there's no chance I'm gonna enjoy this. But I actually ended up liking it. So credit to them, because, and maybe it was just because my expectations were so low, but I enjoyed it. I wasn't expecting it.
No, I enjoyed it. I mean, I was super psyched to watch it. I almost overhyped myself because, again, the connection it had to our inside joke and the chimney sweep, the trailer, just out of this world. But when going into a Jason Statham movie, there are a few things you are guaranteed to get. So I put a little checklist together.
Oh, okay.
You're going to get a vengeance story.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have that answered with a brutal violence.
Mm-hmm.
You are going to have an enemy that's really easy to hate. There's the God mode complex for Jason Statham in every friggin' movie, where he's pretty much invincible, and there's the predictable ending. So going into that, knowing that this is what you're going to get, it's a lot easier to enjoy. Because if you have no idea, then just stay away.
One last thing, because you mentioned the predictable ending. I thought that he was gonna get with the daughter. I thought like there was gonna be a romantic thing going on. I
wasn't feeling that at all.
See, I thought that that's where they were gonna take it, and the fact that they didn't, I was a big fan of. I thought that was a great decision not to go in that direction. But it did start to feel predictable, and then they didn't do it, and I was like, oh, okay, all right, good, thank God, because that would have been super weird if he had this romantic interest with the daughter of the only person who ever cared about him.
Yeah, no, he's a lone wolf, man.
I mean, in the sequel, watch out for the love interest in the sequel.
There you go. There you go. So yeah, I mean, my biggest issue, I suppose, for lack of a better term, would be the lack of a backstory. And I would have wanted more of a backstory, more of showing some flashbacks of his time as a beekeeper, and when that was his profession. And of course, the reasoning behind his absolute love for Eloise. Why does he love her so much? I did jot that down because it was like he is going hell or high water. He is going to take revenge, by her name, and it doesn't really dive too deep into that, which bothered me. That was the question I just kept asking myself the whole time I was watching it.
She was the only person who ever took care of me.
This one. Again, this is one you should expect going into a Statham movie, but it just seemed way too easy for him. I mean, he hot knife through butter, just cruised through everybody. And there was never that point where there was a slight hiccup or you felt, or he was trapped, and, even a James Bond movie has that, right? I mean, at the end of the day, he's going to win, but he usually, he's in a predicament and then he has to get himself out of it. I didn't feel like they did that to the extent I would have liked. And then again, personal opinion, I kind of share the sentiment with Daniel, is that after the first 45 minutes, to me, I know we differ on this, Josh, the story just felt monotonous. It was like, okay, it's this one single track and it's not going to dive off. Yes, they introduced some new characters. And it showed how high the power goes for the bad guys, but it just, I don't know. It didn't, after that I loved the first 45 minutes. I would watch the first 45 minutes again the second we are done recording here. But then after that, I'm fine turning it off. And the question I always ask myself when I am thinking, okay, is this a movie I really liked? The number one question is, would I watch it again? And the answer is yes, I would watch it again. However, I'd watch it again with somebody that has not yet seen it, so I could get their reaction, in real time. Would I watch it again by myself? Most likely not. And then Daniel touched on this a little bit earlier also with, are they setting up, or could this in fact be setting up for a sequel? I say yes, but given the fact there was a lack of a backstory, I'd prefer a prequel. I'm going out on a limb and saying I'd like to see a prequel of The Beekeeper.
Yeah.
I was going to say that. I bet that's the direct. If they decide to go in that direction, I bet they go prequel instead of sequel.
Come hive or high water. All right. So yeah, we're all going to give our little grades now. We're doing it from 1 to 5 stars, right? That's how we typically do it. Josh and I wrote ours down. Daniel, did you write yours down? Because we were going to flash them up here.
Oh, right. Well, then, no, I didn't.
That's fine.
Daniel, you just go first. Yeah, you go first, and then we'll show ours. We don't want any outside influence on our stars.
Not at all.
That's why we did it.
I gave it 3 out of 5.
Okay. All right. All right. And that's it. Just 3 out of 5.
3 out of 5.
Nothing you want to add?
Nothing at
all. Well, I'll add one more thing about Jeremy Irons' character in that movie.
Okay.
It seem like whenever he called the people to try to take care of the beekeeper, it was almost like I'll give like a comparison. It's almost like he was telling the wet bandits from Home Alone what house to rob, and of course they fail miserably.
Yeah.
And that is the reaction he has every time. He's like, they're all dead? You know?
Yeah, he shouldn't be so surprised.
I'm like, he told his son, the beekeeper, you know, all that analogy about the beekeeper at the beginning of the movie. And I'm like, did he just forget all that? You know?
His A-team was absolutely horrendous. I mean, they did a bad job of recruiting.
Mr. T would have done a better job at his age now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he said, and I meant to write this quote down, but it was like, if a beekeeper says you're gonna die, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
Or something along those lines.
Yeah, you mentioned it.
Oh, did I?
I know. Oh,
he says you're gonna die. You're gonna die.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the only thing I wanted to mention. I just thought that made me laugh more than anything else. I was like, is he really that surprised? But yeah,
that kind of speaking to the poor man's John Wick. John Wick, I think there was a quote like that too, where if John Wick wants you dead, you're dead. You know, so they kind of, you know, a lot of similarities there.
Yeah.
But, all right, Josh, you ready?
I'm ready. My official ranking is
all right
2.6.
Oh wow!
Oh, you can't. Oh, I forgot. I have the background, so it's not working. There we go. There we go. Yeah. Woo! 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5.
That's interesting because I would have guessed, based on how we were talking about the movies, that you guys would have a lower score than I did. But yeah, I figure if it's out of 5, 2.5 would be like average, and I went just slightly above average.
I think this is yeah, go ahead.
I would watch it again. But Brandon, to your point, it would definitely be with another person who hasn't seen it.
Yeah,
like
no.
And then I would try and explain the inside joke, and it wouldn't go very well because it's never easy to describe inside jokes.
No, nobody likes that.
Nobody likes when you do that. Like, you had to be there. But I would set it up with the inside joke and then watch the movie. But yeah, 2.6. I think that's a fair score. I'm fine with 3 also. Because
pretty much
like
all
average,
right
above
there.
average.
We're all right there.
That is the highest score I've given a Jason Statham movie. I'll tell you.
Okay.
Wow. So it's your favorite Jason Statham movie, officially.
I don't know if I'd say that, but yeah. There's so much more to come from his career, so we'll see. You know.
Yeah.
Well, I could see them making multiple Beekeeper movies. I could see them making multiple Beekeeper movies, dude.
It does feel like that, man. I'm getting that vibe too.
Yeah.
This could just be the tip of the iceberg or the tip of the honeycomb.
There's no way they don't make at least one more. You know, I mean, and then we got to find other jobs for Jason Statham to do, right?
Yeah, the chimney sweep. We want the chimney sweep.
Yeah, I mean, he could narrate books for people, you know, and be like one of those audio book people.
The narrator.
All right. Well, there you have it. That just about does it. I think we covered everything that we possibly could for The Beekeeper. And if you haven't seen it, do yourself a favor. Check it out. It's worth a watch at least once. You know, again, it's fun. Yeah. You know, don't set your expectations too high. Come on, guys. Sure. It's Jason Statham.
Yes, don't compare this to Oppenheimer, okay? You know?
No. Nobody's doing that.
Only me, yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that was fun.
All right.
I think that seals it up. And yeah, we'll catch you on the next one. Daniel, thanks again for joining us, buddy. It's always keeping it real over there.
Always good.
All right. Later, guys.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Peace.
It's flammable as fuck. Who knew?